Shocking drama. Runaway bride escapes the mafia's grasp at 3 a.m. You won't believe what happens. The clock struck 3, and the night was alive with chaos. A woman in a white dress sprinted down the desolate street, her breath ragged and heart racing like a train barreling off the tracks. She didn't look back, not once. She couldn't afford to. Behind her, the muffled roar of angry voices swirled like a storm, sharp with danger and betrayal. They were coming for her, and she felt their shadows close in just as the fog rolled thick. It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, but somehow it had twisted into a nightmare that would haunt her forever. Amelia had been a picture-perfect bride, all lace and sparkles, blissfully unaware of the darkness lurking just beneath the surface. She had lost herself in the vows, the sweet promises spoken with trembling lips until the sharp ring of her phone shattered the magic. It was her brother, frantic and shaking, on the other end, calling from a hidden place. "Get out, Amelia! They're coming for you!" His words echoed with the cold weight of truth that chilled her spine. She thought she could escape before it was too late, but as she dashed into the night, the adrenaline pumped through her veins like fire. Her vision blurred, the streetlights flickering like ghostly apparitions as fear twisted in her stomach. Each footfall resonated with the knowledge that something terrible loomed, just out of sight. The air crackled around her like static electricity, and every shadow felt alive, chasing her deeper into the unknown.
But why?
Why were they hunting her down? The mafia didn't just kill. They shattered lives, destroyed dreams, and Amelia knew she was on the brink of something unimaginable. The hushed whispers of betrayal mingled with the haunting gusts of wind, filling her with dread. Her heart pounded a tightness in her chest as she realized the weight of the secrets she carried. As she rounded a corner, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Was it them? The pounding footsteps echoed closer, breath heavy with rage and retribution. Her chest tightened with panic, eyes wide in horror. What could she do? Where could she hide? Would anyone believe her if she told them the truth? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. She darted down an alley, the darkness swallowing her whole, but not before she caught a glimpse of the figures chasing her. They were dressed in black, faces obscured by the night, like demons sent from hell to retrieve what was lost. Their voices sharp and authoritative cut through the stillness. "We will find you, Amelia." As she pressed deeper into the shadows, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were already too close. With every breath, the world around her blurred. She needed a plan. She needed hope. But above all, she needed to stay alive long enough to figure it out. Would her past come back to save her, or was she destined to become just another name on the mafia's list? The darkness around Amelia felt suffocating, but there was no time to dwell on fear. Adrenaline spiked as her legs carried her deeper into the maze of alleys and forgotten streets. With each step, the voices of her pursuers grew louder, throaty and menacing. "She can't get far," one shouted. The echo bounced off the brick walls, sending a shiver down Amelia's spine. They were relentless, their anger palpable, and she was determined not to become their prey. She stumbled upon a rusted fire escape ladder protruding from a building's side. Without thinking, she leaped towards it, her fingers gripping the cold metal as she hoisted herself upward. The climb was treacherous, each rung creaked beneath her weight. She could almost hear the footsteps below, heavy and quickening. She made it to the rooftop, collapsing on the gritty surface, heart hammering against her ribcage. Gasping for breath, she peered over the edge. The alleyway was dark, but their forms were unmistakable, prowling like hungry wolves. "Split up," a voice commanded. "She can't have gone far." Staring down, Amelia felt her pulse quicken at the thought of being surrounded. What were they after? She had no idea, but she knew it had to be connected to the secret her brother had mentioned. Absolute terror overwhelmed her, but with it came a flicker of resolve. She could not hide forever. She had to confront the truth, even if it killed her. A shimmering glint caught her eye. To her left, an old air conditioning unit jutted out from the building. Amelia crawled toward it, the cold wind tousling her hair. The city lights painted the sky an eerie orange, but she needed to focus. She peered over to assess her surroundings. A street stretched ahead, leading away from the chaos. As she prepared to descend, a screeching tire and shouts echoed below. A black SUV rolled to a stop at the alley's entrance. The Mafia men piled out, scanning frantically. "This way," one yelled, pointing toward the building. Panic surged in her heart. They were closing in fast. With her heart racing and every muscle tense, she knew she had to act quickly. An idea flashed in her mind. If she could create a distraction? As the first man approached her building, Amelia dropped an empty barrel from the edge of the rooftop. It crashed loudly on the pavement below, catching their attention. "What the?" the nearest thug shouted. Seizing the opportunity, she climbed down the fire escape, her heart pounding in her throat. She slipped silently to the ground, a ghost in her white dress. It was now or never. She ducked behind a dumpster, crouching low, hoping her heart wouldn't give her away. Sounds of confusion filled the air as the men reacted to the noise, searching the area. Her eyes darted around, catching glimpses of escape routes. But could she trust herself? What if she stumbled into another trap? She bit her lip, wrestling with the thoughts as adrenaline coursed through her. Suddenly, the alley's entrance was illuminated. A beam of headlights washed over her hiding place. They were there, just yards away. "Where are you, Amelia?" The voice was cold, dripping with malice. As she held her breath, she realized she was on the edge, teetering between survival and doom. Then, in that moment, she noticed a shadow creeping behind the men. A figure appeared, watching closely from the darkness.
Who was it?
Was this part of the plan, or had Amelia just stepped into another trap? The tension mounted, and uncertainty grew. She held on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, help was at hand. But who could she trust now? Amelia's heart raced as the figure stepped closer, their identities slowly revealing through the night's haze. Would this unexpected ally save her, or seal her fate? The figure stepped into the light, revealing a familiar face. It was Luca, her brother's best friend, who had vanished months ago. His sharp features, once lively, were drawn tight with tension. In one hand, he held a gun, but the other was raised in a gesture of peace. "Amelia," he hissed, urgency lacing his every word. "Stay down, and don't move." Her heart raced faster. Luca was supposed to be gone, possibly dead. She squinted, trying to read his expression. Was he friend or foe? She had to know. "Why are you here?" she whispered, barely able to keep her voice steady. "I thought you were there." "No time to explain," he interrupted, glancing back at the men, who were now fanning out in the alley like a pack of wolves searching for prey. "You need to get out of here." Before she could respond, he dashed toward the nearest entrance point into the alley, motioning for her to follow. The cold metal of his gun glinted ominously in the faint light, but she felt a flicker of hope ignite. Could she trust him? Suddenly, a shout broke the tension. One thug spotted her, their eyes met, and panic surged through her. She was about to move when Luca shouted, "Run." Instinct took over. Amelia sprinted out from behind the dumpster, following his lead. The feel of the gritty pavement beneath her feet was only overshadowed by the rush of air and dread in her lungs. They dashed across the alley, weaving through shadows and debris. Luca glanced behind them, jaw set. "They're close. We have to make it to the next block." He kicked open a door to a boarded-up shop, and they tumbled inside just as a shot rang out, the bullet ricocheting off the doorframe. The old shop was dark and musty, filled with forgotten treasures and cobwebs. Amelia's eyes struggled to adjust. "What now?" she panted, panic creeping back in. What are we doing here? He moved quickly, rummaging through the shadows. There's a back exit, he muttered, but we have to be quiet. Amelia's throat tightened. You didn't answer me. Why are you here? With his back to her, Luca took a breath. I didn't leave. I've been hiding from them. Amelia, your brother tried to save me, and they know you both are connected to something big. He straightened, revealing a worn, blood-stained note clenched in his fist. This was meant for you. It's why they're after you, after your family. What do you mean? She pressed, her heart thudding painfully against her chest. Before he could reply, the booming footsteps of the thugs reverberated through the building. Her eyes widened as fear clawed at her insides. They're here. Luca's eyes flickered with something dark. This isn't just about my survival. Your life is in danger now too. We have to stick together. The sound of footsteps grew louder, urgent voices rising outside the shop. She couldn't help but feel the weight of hopelessness pressing down. I don't even know what I'm fighting for. The back exit was in sight, but looming uncertainty clouded her vision. Were they stepping into deeper danger, or was this the only way out? As they crept towards it, something caught her eye, a glint of silver nestled among a pile of forgotten toys on the floor.
A knife. Take this,
Amelia urged, grabbing it just as the door crashed open behind them. Luca's face paled, adrenaline kicking in as the group rushed forward into the darkness. The shadows danced wildly, malicious shapes filling the doorway. In a heartbeat, Amelia felt like she was living a nightmare again, trapped without choices, fighting for her life and now, the life of the brother she had lost long ago. Just as they were about to bolt for the exit, a piercing yell broke through. You can't escape. We'll find you. With every breath mingling with disbelief and fear, she knew one thing for sure: this was just the beginning. What truth lay in that note? What forces did her brother raise, awakening a storm that now chased them like banshees? Would they make it out alive? With a burst of adrenaline, Amelia and Luca bolted toward the back exit, heartbeats hammering like war drums in their chests. The shadows swirled around them, alive with the threat of the men pursuing them. There was no choice now. Their only escape lay through the narrowing doorframe behind them.
Go,
Luca urged, pushing her ahead. The knife felt heavy and foreign in Amelia's hand, but the adrenaline drowned out her hesitation. They passed through the door into a dimly lit hallway, the stale air thick with dust and a foreboding sense of entrapment. Where do we go from here? She gasped, the echoes of their pursuers growing louder in the alley. There was no time to stall for answers. The thought of being recaptured sent icy chills through her veins. Follow me. He pulled her further down the hall, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting a shadow to emerge at any moment. The pale light from a window at the end of the corridor began to flicker. It was their only chance. As they approached it, the sound of footsteps thundered closer, merging with the steady pounding of her heart.
Luca,
she cried, desperation clawing at her words. We can't just run into the street. We'll be sitting ducks. Trust me. He flung open the window, shards of glass crunching beneath their feet as he hoisted himself out. There's a fire escape. Amelia hesitated at the edge, the concrete below looking more like a grave than salvation. But that shout from before rang in her ears. They wouldn't stop looking. She could feel their eyes hunting for her.
Now,
Luca urged, and she took a breath before following him out, the chill of the night air hitting her like a bucket of icy. As they swung down onto the narrow platform, the clang of metal echoed through the alleyway below them. Footsteps pounded against the pavement, the thugs shouting their names like hunters with their prey in sight.
Keep moving,
Luca barked, his eyes sharp and alive. They hurried down the fire escape, the metal creaking under their weight, threatening to betray them to the enemies below. Just as they reached the bottom, a fierce shout broke through the din, a voice they both recognized, but one they wished to avoid. You can't hide forever, Amelia. She froze, realization crashing over her like waves against a stormy shore.
Simon.
Her brother's voice, twisted with fury and concern, echoed across the dark expanse of the street. You're in deeper trouble than you know. Amelia. Luca grabbed her arm, urgency pouring from him. This way. He led her away from the sound, deeper into the labyrinth of old shops and empty streets. What does he know? She muttered, fear mingling with anger. There was a distance growing between them, a chasm of confusion and danger. Enough to put a target on your back, Luca replied, gritting his teeth. He turned down an alleyway, and they stopped at the sight of a dilapidated car.
Get in.
What about the note? She asked, her breath rapid as she glanced back the way they came. What if they have it? It doesn't matter right now. He hissed, pushing her into the car. The door slammed shut with a resonating thud, a momentary shield against the chaos outside. We'll figure this out together, I promise. The engine coughed to life, the sound almost drowned out by the heavy thuds of feet approaching. Just as they sped forward, Amelia turned back. A figure, cloaked in darkness, stood at the alley's mouth, fear and malice in their eyes. Something within her shifted as she realized who it was. Your brother, he's more entangled in this than we ever imagined. Luca's words pierced her thoughts as they raced away. Dread filled her at the thought of consequences, yet unnamed. Questions swirled in her mind, but one stood out. Was Luca really on her side, or was this all part of a game she couldn't yet grasp? Whatever the answer, it felt like the ground beneath her was crumbling. What dangers awaited them in the unraveling night? The car jolted as they hit a pothole, and Amelia's heart lurched with it. She turned to Luca, searching his face for answers amid the panic swarming her mind. Where are we going? She demanded, her voice shaky. When he didn't respond immediately, fear gnawed at her insides. Just a safe place, he said, glancing nervously in the rearview mirror. She caught a glimpse of the empty street behind them. Was someone following? Safe? What does that even mean? She shot back, crossing her arms tightly against the creeping chill. She felt exposed, raw nerves stretched tight. We need time to breathe, to think this through, he replied, gripping the wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. Breathe? Amelia echoed, her voice incredulous. How can I breathe when Simon knows where I am? When they're probably right behind us? Luca's gaze flickered to hers, a flash of something crossing his face. Guilt? You're stronger than you realize, he said softly. But you need to trust me.
Just give me a chance to help you.
The sincerity in his voice hit her hard. She wanted to believe him, but doubt tethered her down like an anchor. You said I was in trouble. Trouble just got personal. A sudden screech pierced the night, making her jump. The rumble of another vehicle echoed behind them. The sound sent bolts of panic through her.
What was that?
Luca's eyes widened. Stay low.
Keep your head down.
Amelia dropped to the floor of the car, crushed against the grimy upholstery. Her heart raced, pounding loudly in her ears. She could hear the revving engine grow closer, the headlights illuminating the edges of the alley as they swung wide, like searchlights hunting for her. Do you think they saw us? She whispered, terrified. They can't see us if we lose them first, he snapped back, his voice full of urgency. Luca sped around a corner, tires squealing against the asphalt. The car was jostled again, and she felt the hard thud of something striking the rear bumper. Oh God! Amelia gasped. They're right behind us. Luca pressed harder on the gas, and the landscape blurred past them. They were flying through darkened streets, past buildings that loomed like giants watching their escape. Each turn served to drag out the tension even more. Sweat trickled down her back.
Just hold on,
he shouted as he took another sharp turn. Amelia could feel the adrenaline coursing through her, overpowering the fear, but only just. Then, a loud bang erupted behind them. The rear window shattered into a million pieces, cascading down like confetti, but the real terror settled in when she saw it, a silhouette, glint of metal in hand, focusing on them from the car that pursued them. Luca, they're armed. I know,
he barked.
Determination was etched on his features, though fear flickered behind his eyes. We'll lose them.
Stay down.
Amelia pressed deeper into the car seat, her mind racing. She flashed back to the note, the weight of what it contained, information that could shift the entire game. Luca, she whispered urgently. What if they have the note? What if they find out? We'll cross that bridge when we get there, he shot back, his voice resolute. For now, just keep your head down. Do you trust me? He asked suddenly, his eyes meeting hers in a fierce moment of connection. Beneath his bravado, she saw a flicker of vulnerability. Yeah, I think I do, she admitted slowly, not entirely convinced but desperate to hold onto some shred of hope. But as the sound of screeching tires and angry voices echoed behind them, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were not just running from their past. They were racing towards something far more dangerous. The car careened through the night, engines roaring, adrenaline boiling. Amelia watched the streetlights blur past, wondering just how deep this tangled mess with Simon and the shadowy figures chasing them really went. What if the realization came too late? What if they weren't just running from the enemies in the dark, but into the jaws of something much worse? Ahead loomed a fork in the road, one path promising uncharted safety, the other shrouded in darkness. Which way would they choose, and what awaited them on the other side? Luca took the fork in the road, the tires squealing as they hit the gravel path. The landscape around them shifted from urban chaos to an eerie stretch of trees swallowed by mist. Amelia barely had a moment to process the change when the thud of their pursuer's vehicle resonated behind them, as if echoing her racing heart. Are we safe here? She asked, her voice quivering, a mix of hope and fear. Not yet, Luca said tersely, his eyes scanning the shadows. His grip on the wheel tightened, making the veins in his forearms stand out like ropes. I've got a hidden spot not far from here.
Hidden?
And you think that will stop them? They'll find us. With a swift glance over his shoulder, he shouted, just trust me. The urgency in his voice left no room for argument. The tree canopy blocked out the moonlight, dimming their surroundings. Amelia felt the chill wrap around her like a wet blanket, suffocating every breath. Every creak of the car sent her on high alert, tearing her focus between Luca's driving and the darkness surrounding them. Suddenly, the headlights of the voice behind them cut through the underbrush. They were getting closer, way too close. And the chilling certainty that they were about to be caught sent a frigid wave of terror rippling through her. Luca, they're coming, she cried out, panic surging as a figure leaned out of the rear passenger window, a gun glinting ominously in the limited light. Hold on, he roared as he slammed the brake, tires skidding against the gravel before he made a sharp left turn into a narrow clearing. The engine sputtered, then died with a heartbreaking whimper. What are you doing? Amelia shrieked, her eyes wide with fear. If we stay quiet, they might zip past us, he said, flicking off the headlights. The sudden plunge into darkness felt suffocating. She could barely make out his silhouette, but she could hear the intensity of his breath, hear the tension in his muscles. She leaned back, her heart pounding against her rib cage, counting the seconds as they waited in breathless silence. She strained to hear any indication of their pursuers. The blasts of laughter and male voices echoed behind them, so close her chest tightened. Where are they? One voice shouted. I swear they turned this way. Amelia felt a knot of desperation churn in her stomach.
What if they found them?
What if this was it? Just then, she heard a faint rustle in the underbrush. Her body tensed instinctively. Luca, what was that? Stay still, he whispered, a deadly calm coating his words. The laughter faded for a moment, replaced by the sounds of footsteps crunching through leaves. Amelia's breath hitched. She turned slowly to rest her gaze on Luca. His jaw tightened, and something flickered behind his eyes, a mix of fear and defiance. Amelia, he whispered urgently, drawing her attention. If they get too close, we need to act fast. You have that note, right? Yeah, I do, she replied, her voice trembling like it could shatter any second. Her fingers clutched the crumpled paper against her chest, a weight of its truths suffocating her with fear. Then we use it. We have to get to Simon before they do. He asked the key. Before Amelia could respond, a sudden flash of light illuminated their hiding spot. The vehicle had parked nearby, throwing Jacob's team into a chaotic frenzy. The silhouettes of the men moved like wolves hunting prey through the trees. Panic washed over her, thick and suffocating. What do we do? She whispered, hoping to keep the fear from her voice. Luca's eyes narrowed, a plan forming. We wait until they split up. Then we make a break for it. Amelia felt relief mingle with dread. This was her chance, but risking it all felt like walking a tightrope over a cliff. On 3, he said, counting quietly. The tension in the air was palpable, each passing second filled with the suffocating weight of uncertainty. Luca's determined gaze locked onto hers.
2.
Then the sounds of footsteps multiplied, and a shadow loomed closer, pressing at the very edge of their refuge. 3. With that, they surged forward into the shadows, hearts racing for the truths waiting beyond whatever peril awaited them. But what lay ahead would challenge them more than just an escape. It was a revelation that would change everything. Amelia burst through the dense foliage, her heart pounding so loudly it drowned out all other sounds. Adrenaline shot through her veins, pushing her body to its limits. She threw a glance back, catching a glimpse of Luca just a step behind her, determination etched across his face. The way forward was dark and twisted, branches snagging at her clothes, but there was no time to slow down.
Keep going,
Luca urged, his voice low yet urgent. Leaves crunched behind them, the unmistakable sounds of pursuit echoing through the night air. Panic surged through her as she forced herself to push aside the clawing branches. They had just taken the most reckless gamble, and now there was no turning back. Simon's face flashed in her mind, a ghostly reminder of everything they were risking. Suddenly, a figure materialized from the shadows to their right, stumbling into their path. Amelia let out a gasp, instinctively veering to the left, but it was too late. The man lunged forward, arms reaching out to grab her.
Stop,
He bellowed, but Luca was quicker. He grabbed Amelia by the wrist, yanking her just as the man's fingers brushed against her jacket.
Run,
He shouted, throwing a powerful elbow to the man's face that sent him sprawling backwards into the brush. No time for hesitation. They sprinted deeper into the night, the cold air biting their lungs. Focus on the path, Luca directed, his breath coming in short bursts. Amelia nodded, trying to shake the fear. She could feel it creeping up her spine, making her second-guess every step she took. How close were Jacob and his men? The gravity of their situation was overwhelming, crushing her thoughts one heartbeat at a time. The underbrush thinned as they raced toward a small clearing illuminated by the pale light of the moon. She could see an old, rickety cabin in the distance, half hidden by looming trees and tangled vines. There might be a chance to hide there, but what if it was a trap?
Luca,
She gasped, trying to catch her breath. What if no time to think? He interrupted, urgency flickering in his eyes. We need to get to that cabin, now. As they darted forward, the ground beneath swelled and dipped erratically, rocks and roots jutting out like sharp teeth. But with every step, hope grew stronger inside her. They could find answers. They could confront Simon. When they reached the cabin, Luca shoved the door open with a violent thrust, the rusty hinges screaming in protest. They stumbled inside, breathless and wild-eyed, the room dimly lit with nothing but shards of moonlight peeking through the dusty windows. Lock it, Luca commanded, gripping the door and shutting it tight. Amelia fumbled with the rusty latch, her hands shaking, but it clicked into place with a hollow thud that resonated throughout the small space. They leaned against the door, catching their breath. Amelia's ears rang with silence as they strained to listen. Would they be found?
what now?
She breathed, anxiety overtaking her senses. Luca's gaze darted around the cabin, an old table sawdust-coated and 2 wooden chairs sitting askew. Against the far wall was a peeling old cabinet. There might be a phone inside, or something we can use. As he moved to investigate, Amelia's fingers brushed the crumpled note in her pocket.
Wait,
She called, startling him. What if Simon is already with Jacob? What if they find him first? What if?
stop,
He snapped, pinching the bridge of his nose in frustration, then softened his voice. If we don't do anything now, we'll both regret it. We have to find Simon before they do. Amelia. The urgency in his voice ignited a flicker of determination within her. Deep down, She knew the truth in his words. They had come too far to back down now. Just then, the cabin shook, the unmistakable sound of a vehicle rumbling ominously close. "They're here," Luca hissed, eyes wide with panic. Amelia's breath caught in her throat. "I'll check the windows," he whispered, moving like a shadow, as if trying to absorb the darkness enveloping them. But as he moved closer to the glass, the sound outside morphed into laughter.
A
Voice deep, taunting cut through the night air with chilling clarity. "You think you're clever, don't you?" Amelia stiffened, her heart racing again, dread pooling in her stomach. Jacob's South men were close, and it was only a matter of moments before they would storm through that door. "How did they find us?" she whispered, terror flooding her veins. "I don't know," Luca said, gripping the back of his neck, desperation creeping into his voice. "But we can't let them catch us. Not now." But just as Luca turned back to her, Amelia caught sight of something glinting in the corner of her eye, hidden behind the cabinet. A glimmer of hope, or perhaps another trap, but there was no choice now. "Luca," she said softly, pointing, "look." What lay ahead could be their salvation or their undoing. "Let us see what we're dealing with," Luca said, stepping cautiously towards the cabinet, shadowed uncertainty draping over every breath. But would what they found within lead them to safety or into the jaws of danger? Amelia moved closer to the cabinet, her heart hammering in her chest. Every nerve in her body screamed for her to run, but a strange compulsion kept her rooted to the spot. What if they found something that could turn the tide? "Be careful," Luca whispered, his eyes darting to the door as the laughter outside grew louder. She could hear heavy footsteps approaching, the crunch of gravel echoing against the wooden cabin walls. They had to make a move, and soon, with shaking hands, she pushed the cabinet aside. Dust swirled around, dancing in the shafts of moonlight. There, lying beneath a thin layer of grime, was an antique trunk, its brass lock tarnished but still intact. Hope flickered within her. Phone? A weapon? Anything to help them escape. What felt like a tightening noose. The trunk? Luca's voice was barely above a whisper, filled with the urgency of the moment. "Can you open it?" Amelia knelt, fingers fumbling over the lock. It was old and stiff, resisting her efforts. Outside, the laughter stopped abruptly, every sound replaced by a chilling silence. She shot a glance at Luca, whose face was a mask of concern smeared with panic. "Simon," she muttered, pushing harder. The lock clicked, a sound that felt more like a curse than a victory. With a sharp inhale, she lifted the lid. The hinge creaked ominously, echoing her fears. Inside lay various items wrapped in moth-eaten cloth, old photographs, rusty tools, and something wrapped in a torn velvet cloth. "Amelia," Luca hissed, moving back to the window. "We don't have much time." The velvet shroud slipped from her fingers, revealing a gleaming revolver and a stack of old letters tied together with frayed twine. A bolt of recognition hit her. The letters were from Simon. "What is it?" Luca was still at the window, craning his neck to see outside. "It's Simon's letters. He wrote to someone. Their names are here." Her voice trembled with excitement and fear. He might be trying to reach someone. Suddenly, the ruckus outside resumed, voices shouting and laughing, a chorus of hunters closing in. Amelia's heart dropped again. This was it. They were running out of time. "Luca, we need to hide. We can't let them see us," she urged, taking the revolver in her hand, feeling the weight empower her. A loud bang against the cabin door sent a shiver down her spine.
"Now,"
Luca shouted, pushing her toward the corner of the room just as the door rattled violently under pressure. They huddled together, breathless and straining to hear. The voices grew louder, the sound of footsteps now inside the cabin. "What if they find us?" Amelia whispered, gripping the gun tighter, sweat trickling down her temples. "Stay calm," he murmured, his eyes locked on the door. "They'll look for us first, and then we can strike." Just then, the door splintered violently, the dark silhouette of a man filling the frame with a menacing grin stretched across his face. "Well, if it isn't the little runaway." Amelia's pulse quickened as she ducked down further, hidden behind the table. The last chance teetered on the edge. The survival instinct kicked in. It was now or never. Let us take him out, she whispered to Luca, adrenaline surging through her veins, but as he nodded, the shadows shifted behind the intruder. More figures crowded the doorway. Jacob's men were here. Faced with a choice, they had only one option. On three, Luca breathed, eyes sharp like flint. Amelia's world narrowed down to the sound of their hearts pounding as she counted silently. The weight of the gun felt heavy, but she steeled herself. 1, 2, 3. In a flash, they surged into action, ready to face the danger head-on. But confusion erupted as the figure in the doorway stumbled, revealing a shocking twist she could not believe. What the hell? Amelia gasped, mind racing with the implications of what she'd just seen. In an instant, the stakes escalated. Just as they were preparing to confront the danger, an unexpected figure broke through the chaos, bringing with them a truth that would change everything they thought they knew.
Wait!
A voice yelled, and Amelia's world tilted again. Could it be? The revelation hung in the air like a bitter frost, transforming hope into dread. What lay ahead could shatter their fragile alliance or draw them deeper into the web of deception.
Who are you?
Luca shouted over the noise, grounding Amelia back to the immediate threat, but the answer was already spiraling, waiting to unfold in the impending chaos. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as she locked eyes with the newcomer. It was a woman, her long dark hair cascading over her shoulders, cheeks bruised but eyes fierce and determined. Something flickered in those eyes, a glimmer of recognition, as if she knew them. "Anna?" Luca exclaimed, stepping forward, but Amelia pulled him back, her instincts screaming for caution. The tension was electric, thick as fog. Anna, the last person they expected, stood there, her silhouette stark against the dim cabin light. "I tried to warn you," Anna shouted, voice laced with urgency. "They're coming for all of us." The moment froze, the chaos outside fading for a breath. Amelia's heart raced. How could Anna be here? And how did she know what was coming?
Get down!
A voice shouted from outside, jarring Amelia from her thoughts. She had no time to waste. The shadows danced as Jacob's men pushed further into the cabin, eyes scanning the room like hawks. The laughter had turned to something darker, a predatory instinct driving their movements. "Do you have a plan?" Amelia whispered to Luca, keeping her voice low. It was to run, but he faltered, glancing at Anna. "Does she know what they want?" "More than you think," Anna insisted, edging back toward the door. "But we have to move now, or we're all dead." Amelia's mind swirled. They had found the trunk with the letters, but had no time to decipher their importance. Every second counted, and yet she felt a knot tightening in her gut. Footsteps thundered closer, and the door splintered again under the weight of their attackers. "I'll hold them off," Anna said, eyes fierce. "Just go." Fear gripped Amelia as she watched Anna move toward the doorway, ready to confront the oncoming threat.
"No."
"We all go together," she yelled, desperation lacing her voice, but Anna shook her head. "You need to get out of here. I can buy you a minute, maybe two." "Amelia," Luca urged, pulling at her arm. "We have to trust her." A split-second decision loomed. Should they risk everything for Anna?
"Fine,"
Amelia shouted over the howling wind from the door. "But we'll come back for you." Anna nodded, and the look in her eyes burned into Amelia's memory a promise, a bond formed in fire. With a quick move, Anna dashed into the fray, her silhouette swallowed by the shadows. The cabin erupted into chaos, the sounds of scuffling feet and muffled shouts ringing out as Luca and Amelia darted for the back door. A frigid breeze met them as they flung open the door, heartbeats matching the panic around them. They stumbled into the night, senses heightened, adrenaline coursing through their veins. "We need to find Simon's contacts," Luca panted as they raced through the dimly lit backyard, eyes darting to the trees surrounding them. "He has to have the answers." Amelia nodded, but behind them, an unmistakable shout echoed in the dark. Someone had spotted them.
"Run!"
she yelled, and they took off, hearts pounding like drums. Branches whipped against their skin, but there was no looking back now. The cabin disappeared behind them, but the sound of pursuit only grew louder, urgency propelling them deeper into the woods. As they ran, Amelia clutched the revolver tight in her palm. The weight felt solid, a ghost of reassurance. "What if they catch us?" she gasped, struggling to keep pace. "They won't," Luca assured, but the doubt crept into his voice. "Besides, we can fight back now, right?" "Right," she lied, fear twisting her insides. Suddenly, a flash of light illuminated the path ahead. A car engine roared to life, headlights cutting through the darkness, like a beacon. "Over there!" Luca pointed, darting toward the light, but as they approached, Amelia's heart sank. The vehicle was old and rusty, its hood ajar, steam spilling into the night. "Is it even going to start?" she questioned, dread settling in as they drew closer. She could already hear the hunters closing in behind them, feet crunching on the gravel. The seconds felt like hours as she scrambled to the driver's side, fingers trembling as she gripped the handle.
"Get in!"
she yelled, and just then a figure emerged from the trees, a tall shadow, steady and menacing. "Stop right there," a voice barked, slicing through the night air. Amelia turned, adrenaline surging, breath hanging as she prepared for the confrontation. The reality was sinking in. Could they escape this time?
"Who are you?"
she demanded, as the figure stepped closer, revealing a familiar face. And in that moment, a new betrayal loomed, unraveling the fragile safety she thought she'd found. "Let us just say," the figure smirked, eyes glinting with malice, "I'm not here to help you." A wave of confusion crashed over her, thickening the air with tension, and Amelia felt the world tilt beneath her. Just when she thought she might have a way out, the true depth of danger reared its ugly head. "What did you do?" she gasped, knowing they were right back where they started. A sinister grin spread across the figure's face as he stepped further into the light, the answers to their torment hanging dangerously close, but they weren't done yet. "Let us make a deal," he proposed, the shadows shifting around them, as if the night itself held its breath, waiting for the next twist in this deadly game. The cabin echoed their shouts, filled with confusion and fear. Amelia stared at the tall figure, anger igniting in her chest. "You've got to be kidding me. After everything, you're the last person I expected." "It's good to see you too, Amelia," Simon said, his eyes icy and filled with an unreadable tension. "But right now, I'm not here for a reunion." Lucas stepped forward, fists clenched at his sides. "What do you want, Simon? You know we can't trust you." Simon raised a hand, the hint of a smirk forming. "I'm not here to chase you down, at least not for now. I have a proposition, something that could very well keep you alive." The tension in the air thickened. Every instinct urged Amelia to run, but her legs felt rooted to the spot. "Why should we listen to anything you have to say?" she challenged, voice trembling with doubt. "Because the only reason Jacob wants you is to eliminate you and wipe out any remaining ties to your father. You're a thorn in their side as long as you live," Simon said, voice low and urgent. "And I know where they're hiding. I have key information about what's been happening." "What kind of information?" Lucas spat, the mistrust brimming just beneath the surface. "Why now?" "Because I need your help. They're coming for me too, and while I can handle a few goons, the real danger is Jacob. He's plotting something terrible." Amelia felt her heart skip. Doubts swirled in her mind, but there was an undeniable need for clarity on the secrets that entangled them all. "Are you saying you're in danger from your own men?" Simon nodded, urgency etched in his features. "Once they find out about your brother's investigation, they won't stop until everyone is dead. I need you to get into Jacob's operation, to find the truth and unlock the stakes of what's really happening." "But we can't trust you," Amelia cried. "How do we know this isn't just another game?" "Because I've thrown in my lot with you both," he replied sharply. "Help me, and I'll give you everything you need to fight back. We can take down Jacob together." Amelia exchanged a glance with Luca. The weight of Simon's words pried open a door to possibilities, a glimmer of hope in their dark world. After everything that had happened, did they even have a choice? "Fine," Amelia said reluctantly. But you better not be lying. There's too much at stake. Simon's expression softened, if only for a moment. Meet me back at the old shipyard. I'll give you everything I have. But you need to hurry. They're on our heels. Suddenly, they heard shouts from the woods. Panic surged through Amelia. Now what? Simon pushed them toward the car, urging them inside as he turned to face the impending danger.
Go.
I will hold them off. No way, Luca protested. We're not leaving you behind.
Go.
Simon shouted, determination blazing through his eyes. I'll buy you time. Just trust me. With that, Amelia felt a force push her into the car, the engine sputtering back to life. She cast one last glance at Simon, the gravity of the situation twisting like a knife in her gut. We'll come back. Luca slammed the gas pedal, and the car shot forward, tires screeching against gravel. They sped through the trees, branches clawing at their windows as dread consumed her thoughts. Do you think he'll be okay? She asked, breathless. He has to be, Luca replied, his voice steady, but filled with uncertainty. But we need to focus on finding that information. Minutes felt like hours as they drove further away from the chaos and deeper into the night. Her heart raced not just from fear, but from the weight of uncertainty. Which way now? Amelia asked, scanning the dimly lit roads ahead. There should be a shortcut through the industrial district. We can lose any potential followers and make our way to the shipyard more efficiently, Luca replied, eyes narrowing as he with every twist and turn. The streets blurred past, neon signs flickering like distant stars cutting through the night. What if Simon's wrong? Amelia asked softly. What if this is all just a trap? It's a risk we have to take, Luca insisted, panic mixing with determination. Maybe. We'll finally get the answers we need. Just hold on to that gun, Amelia. The tension in the air thickened as they raced toward their rendezvous. Amelia's pulse quickened, both from fear and frustration. Simon's revelations echoed loud in her mind. What kind of monster had grown around her family's name? Just a little closer, Luca urged, gripping the wheel as the abandoned shipyard loomed in the distance, shrouded in shadow. As they pulled up, a nagging instinct told Amelia to prepare, to brace for whatever chaos awaited. Ready? She whispered, eyes locked on the darkened entrance. Whenever you are, Luca replied, his voice resonating with trust, with finality. Amelia nodded, the uncertainty now mingling with raw determination. They pushed their doors open and stepped into the encroaching darkness, eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of Simon or trouble lurking. But one thing was clear. Both light and dark converged in this moment. Whatever lay ahead would either lead them to their answers or plunge them into the depths of despair. The night was thick with tension, but they could not turn back now. The path before them twisted into the unknown, but they had each other, and an unbreakable bond tethered them tightly around the storm. This was their fight. As they ventured deeper into the shadows, Amelia felt a surge of resolve. Together, they would confront the chaos and unravel the truth. They would face whatever came next head-on, and if they didn't make it, at least they went down swinging. Don't wait any longer. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories filled with jaw-dropping twists. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep these incredible narratives alive. Flood that comment section with your reactions and theories about this insane conclusion. I want to hear what you think. And for the love of suspense, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion, because only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait even one more second.